Hey everyone, it's Hanny, and today I actually have my assistant with me who helps me write the notes for this video. This is Cody the Pom. He's my best friend. He's really sweet, but he's also a lib. So go away. This is an opinion article from NBC's Think. This article is called "The GOP Needs Counter-Radicalization Strategy After the Paul Pelosi Attack," which we talked about already. Didn't happen, but that's okay. We can pretend for the sake of this article that it did. So this opinion piece was written by Mark Polymeropoulos, who, after looking up a picture of him, is really just John Fetterman with maxed out stats. And he is a former senior intelligence service officer for the CIA. The CIA. So clearly he's a trustworthy source. I worked in counterterrorism operations for nearly my entire career at the CIA before retiring in 2019. The battle we engaged in with international terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, you've funded soldiers, but with their highly effective propaganda arms as well. The US and our allies considered those propagandists fundamental cogs in a terrorist group's machinery, and just as culpable as any other terrorist. So we held them accountable when innocent civilians were killed. So this is probably a good example of the big lie. So to say that the CIA, first off, had no hand in any of these civilian deaths, and then to go as far and claim that you held people accountable is such an outrageous thing to say that you have to consider that maybe he is telling the truth. We held them accountable. Why are these propagandists so dangerous? Because while they might not supply weapons, they can effectively radicalize individuals to obtain them and put them to use, even from the comfort of their own homes via the internet. They do that by sending the message that violence is permissible, even admirable, in a process of normalization that breaks down the resistance most humans usually experience to such acts. They give them a cause to justify the need for acting out violence, which goads foot soldiers to take steps towards action, and they can provide suggested targets and detailed information on how to carry out attacks. Terrorist propaganda is particularly dangerous because lone wolf attacks have been our greatest challenge in the international counterterrorism arena. Lone wolves are a thorn for domestic U.S. law enforcement as well, as we saw last week when a man not affiliated with any known group but immersed in right-wing propaganda attacked Paul Pelosi, the husband of Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. While authorities have taken appropriate action against him, there are a few signs that the government is taking the big-picture approach needed to combat the violence-inducing propaganda behind this crime. There is still no proof to suggest that DePape held any right-wing beliefs, but that's still what we're going with, I guess. The Constitution confers certain free speech protections for extremist propaganda in the U.S. that prevent authorities from exactly replicating our foreign counterterrorism strategy here at home. Now, it really sucks that the Constitution makes it very difficult to torture American citizens. But there are important lessons we can and should apply. For one thing, we can exercise free speech to proclaim that the normalization of violence against politicians is dangerous and unacceptable. Some violent rhetoric may not be illegal, but it is morally repugnant. Morally repugnant? Yeah, so is facilitating human trafficking and controlling the media. To start with, we need to clearly identify what crosses the line into the realm of dangerous rhetoric. That means calling out those in the right-wing ecosphere who for years have demonized and at times even promoted and encouraged attacks on Pelosi. Encouraged attacks. Yeah, don't you hate it when those nasty white middle Americans spend their 30-minute breaks at work just foaming at the mouth about Democrats? The long list includes Marjorie Taylor Greene, a sitting member of Congress from Georgia who once supported the idea of Pelosi's execution for treason. It includes the NRA, which put a picture of Pelosi next to an article with the headline, "Target Practice." Beyond Pelosi, there are odious examples, oh my gosh, odious. Like, you can tell he had a thesaurus next to him while writing this. Examples like Donald Trump Jr. holding a semi-automatic rifle with an ammunition clip that has Hillary Clinton's face drawn on it. Mark. So I honestly expected him to be a little bit smarter than this. Tweets and articles written about all three of these non-issues have a target audience of lukewarm IQ liberals who cannot resist the call to claim lazy moral superiority over everyone else. Like, there is no truth to a single one of these claims of violence. So is this really the best Democrats have in their case against violent Republicans? Just straight up lies. The answer is yes. It's also important to note that there is nothing equivalent being done on the other side of the aisle. Democrat politicians and leaders may not like Trump, but they don't call for violence against him, let alone his execution. Oh wow, that's a doozy. So let's just roll this little clip I put together.
News out of Washington, where NBC News has just confirmed that an armed man was in fact arrested overnight near the home of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Capitol activists burned the American flag. One sign that was next to the burning flag read FMPD, and another reads FU Thomas, Alito, Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Roberts. And police used two.
According to recent polling, almost 1 in 3 Republicans believe that violence may be necessary to save the U.S. Where is this violence, Mark? I can think of maybe one instance. Oh wait, the FBI did that. These people seem to be equating justified anger with a call to violence. And honestly, who wouldn't be angry when every single day, if you are a white man or a conservative minority, and you are being told that by disgustingly wealthy criminals and paid-off journalists that your very being is vile and oppressive. Like that. So while Democrats and journalists and celebrities lie and claim that you're the problem, you're a terrorist, in reality, you're just trying to pay your mortgage. Like, who wouldn't be mad? It's almost as if they want to incite real violence. That's what it seems like Mark is doing here. So that way, he doesn't have to spin the story of a gay orgy gone wrong, or do mental gymnastics over a magazine clip. Or, and this applies specifically to your people, Mark, so you don't have to orchestrate solicitation on Capitol grounds.
I'm gonna punch him out and I'm gonna go to jail.
In subsequent Fed meetups. Saudi Arabia, government officials took the lead in identifying at-risk individuals at all stages, including those in prison who had already perpetrated terror attacks. Rehabilitation programs provided counseling, religious re-education, and help reintegrating into society. Though a minority of those who have gone through the process have returned to terrorism, there have also been clear cases of success. Well, I would imagine in a person like Mark's case, when you as an organization are giving these terrorist groups money and weapons, I guess they would continue to do crazy things when they're given those resources. So it's not Democrats who must act. Instead, we need to find strong voices within the GOP who will denounce Marjorie Taylor Greene, denounce former President Trump's calls for violence against protesters, and denounce the many voices demonizing Pelosi. If GOP leaders do this, their followers will listen, but it will only be successful if comprehensive. Republican Representative Lynn Cheney. Lynn Cheney? Mark, are you actually retarded? And the article ends with this last statement from Mark. Who will step up now? As we used to say in the counterterrorism arena, the system is blinking red. Could you imagine being so condescending towards people that you are supposedly trying to reach out to, get them to behave? Like, you're going to be this condescending when your goal is supposedly to make amends, to stop violence? Clearly this isn't this man's actual goal. This isn't any leading Democrat's goal. I mean, you look at somebody like Pelosi, who, 82 years old, third in line to be the president, a multimillionaire on the basis of crime and theft, and you expect people to not be angry about that. I actually cannot imagine how much taxpayers must be shelling out for Mark's dental coverage, considering the man incessantly lies through his teeth. He really just wrote an entire article lamenting that they still do not have a good enough reason to arrest Trump. And this is just a really good example of irresponsible journalism, though it may be an opinion article, because obviously this is geared towards liberal readers who, again, and it's really not an exaggeration to say that the target audience is those with lukewarm IQs. Okay, this is meant to disturb and upset a liberal base who already believes all of these things that aren't true. It's just outrageous.